Mkhwanazi, who has already appeared before the Madlanga Commission last year, will also be questioned further during his testimony about his links to Matlala and how Matlala also gave him money.
Yes, I was suspended on the 20th of February 2023. Then I was suspended for, the letter said, I installed blue lights, branded vehicles for the kids' security for Matlala.
Okay, we'll come back to that. And then, how long was your suspension?
It was 3 months, advocate. I stayed for 3 months at home.
And South Korea has become the first country to enact a comprehensive law on the safe use of artificial intelligence. The Basic Act on the Development of Artificial Intelligence and the establishment of a foundation of trustworthiness officially took effect today. The law requires companies to give users advance notice when services or products use generative AI. Violations are punishable by a fine of up to more than $20,000. Gold's trading at $4,830.63 an ounce. The rand's at 16.19 to the dollar, at 21.78 to the pound, at 18.94 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.52 a barrel.
Leaving Germiston, heading towards Bedford View, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on the N3 northbound between the Elands interchange and Kilulis. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Bryanston at Winnie Mandela Drive and Grosvenor.
Look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy afternoon with isolated showers and thunder showers expected in Gauteng today. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 25 and 28 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: the driver of the deadly Scholar Transport crash in Vanderbijl Park, Ayanda Dludla, has abandoned his bail application.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
After 1 o'clock, welcome to 7:02 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Thursday, the 22nd of January. So many things happening in the news at the moment, but I kind of feel like the driver of that vehicle, it's probably a good idea to abandon your bail application because of what is happening outside. It is a very sensitive time. Many people are upset and angry. And I think that that was the right choice to make, and we'll see how that case continues to unfold. Coming up on the show, I want to find out from all of you, just following on this whole court situation and the discussion where it was ruled that you cannot have an anti-nuptial agreement after you've done the customary proceedings, like your prenups and things like that. And I want to hear from you. You don't have to be in the legal field, or maybe you want to weigh in. You are in the legal space. I want to hear from all of you that have been married or planning to be married, and in terms of how you would adjust or what you have observed that you'd say, this is how we can have cultural practices while also including this process. I know some people are customarily married and they do have anti-nuptial agreements, or now we need to rethink what does the process need to look like and what does that mean for culture and things like lobola negotiations, etc. In our Belief Matters feature, still in line with the concept of marriage, we have seen Annalem Doda and Claire Mawisa in their full Makoti attire everywhere they've been going, and I thought what a good time to chat about it because people have been asking them questions. how long is a makoti or a bride supposed to wear the attire? So today we are going to be talking about a married Xhosa woman's attire and what it means culturally. And we will be joined by Dr. Jongi Klaas, who is a senior researcher on Xhosa history and culture within the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in the Eastern Cape on that, because it's very specific to that. And of course, feel free to let us know in your culture what you have observed. And then it's a Thursday, which means Wendy Nola joins us in our consumer rights feature. Nola knows we'll be chatting about wrongly captured home addresses in data, Wi-Fi contracts, and we'll also open up the lines for all of you to get your consumer rights issues on the show. Get in touch with us. We do have an email address, 702afternoons@702.co.za. The number to call is 011 8830702. The WhatsApp line 07270210702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 0727021702.
702 Afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We all have in South Africa the different cultural practices that we observe when it comes to marriage. So in the context of this conversation, we know it will deviate from culture to culture. But generally, we all understand the concept of lobola, or if I'm to say in English, a bride price, right? We all kind of get that concept. Customary marriage in South Africa is also recognized in other cultures, in the Islamic faith, I think, as well. They're recognized because not everybody gets married by going to Home Affairs and signing paperwork and having witnesses and having it registered there. So if now we know and understand that after a certain period and certain things happening within your culture, for example, the lobola being paid and some kind of celebration afterwards, because now we have seen that the law will recognize you as a wife. These things usually get contested during divorces. They also get contested when it comes to estate issues when somebody has passed away. But now that we know all of this, here is the question. What does that mean for prenuptial agreements? And if you decide to be married, whether you went to Home Affairs or not, but you followed the process and you can demonstrate that, hey, we are living like married people. If you are able to do that, you are automatically married in community of property. What that translates to is that the state views you and your spouse as one estate. That's how they view you. What's yours is mine. What's mine is ours. So much so that if there was no prenuptial agreement and we marry culturally or using a customary practice, whatever that customary practice is, and when Abel, you have a property in your name. When we are married, I'm a co-owner, Budi. I'm automatically a co-owner. That house plus maybe my car plus my cell phone, reditela into one basket, and we are co-owners. So what needs to change in the system? What needs to change in the process to accommodate what the law now says and recognizes? And my understanding, even before this Concord ruling, I think we were having a series, it might have been 2 years ago, while we were still at our previous home on Gwen Lane, where we had the conversation around the different types of marital contracts in South Africa. And many questions were coming from people. Questions like, we did lobola 10 years ago. Now we got separated. I've met something new and I want to go get married. Do I need to divorce? The answer is yes, you need to divorce. If you don't want problems down the road where somebody can contest the validity of now your new marriage, your white wedding and your signing. So hypothetically, if we had to adjust our culture accordingly to say, guys, we have all seen how being married in community of property can be extremely problematic. Not that somebody's going to cheat and try to, move on with somebody else, another woman or another man, but that person can die and you are stuck in the debt being a part of that joint estate. There are many reasons that lawyers will say, hey, go the route of a prenuptial agreement. But what would need to change culturally? What would need to change? Because we need to marry what is happening in real life, in our customs and traditions, with what is happening with the law. Because these issues only crop up now when you're in trouble and you can't go back. Now you must present photos to say, you see here, I was a magoti, I was facing on the floor and I had my blanket. You see here, the uncles were sitting. And then when one says, it was not a celebration, then now you must say, you see on this plate, usually, it was just going to be starch, le green veg, le yellow veg, le nama. Now there's 4 different meats. Ke celebration. These are the things that need to happen. So I need to know, what do you think needs to be adjusted in culture, in your customs, when it comes to the process of getting married, if you think anything should be adjusted at all? If you believe that, hey, Relebogile, now once I've sent cows, we are together. Tabaya divorce, it won't even happen for us because our ancestors have agreed to this union. But of course, the problem comes when now it's time for who's taking what and what belongs to who. And also the challenges of who was the first wife to begin with. I want to hear from you on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Pitzap, what do you want to say about this fear around witchcraft? How do you live your life?
Clement, I want to tell my story. People always tell me, don't tell us about what they're doing because people will stand in front of them, do certain things before you. I rolled with my car, but the car was fixed, it's fine. Do you remember there was a story of people buying lightning?
Buying lightning?
Yes,
from who?
Lightning. They say in Marabastad it's 5 rand or something like that. Yes, it's an allegation. It's an allegation. Now, the late Professor Alusha, he went and investigated this thing.
And he found that you can buy lightning for 5 rand in Marabastad.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Municipal services are vital to keeping the city safe, clean and functional. By paying for municipal services such as your water bill, you're investing in Johannesburg's water supply. Paying for your services is not just a transaction, it is a commitment to your community's sustainability. Help pave the way for a brighter tomorrow, one payment at a time. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water utility that cares.
Life keeps getting busier. Parenting, shopping, working, exercising, just surviving. With all of that, who has time for anything else? That's why Netcare introduces Netcare Appointmed. Just tell us what you need, a specialist, GP or dentist, and we'll search our nationwide network of 5,000 doctors and find an appointment with a doctor who best suits your needs and medical aid. That's Netcare Appointmed on the Netcare app.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My way. Live your way.
Get online exclusive Unreal deals for 3 days only at Pick n Pay ASAP and Mr. D. Get 600 gram Lancewood cheese for only 99 Rand 99 each. And 1 litre Pick n Pay extra virgin olive oil for only 159 Rand 99. Get hundreds of Unreal deals delivered by Pick n Pay ASAP and Mr. D. Valid 23 to 25 January. T's and C's apply.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
There's been various court matters around marriage and the way in which it's framed. Also issues around the coexistence of customary marriage and marriage that involves the other arms of government. What sort of progress are we making towards harmonizing systems so that they work?
After 1998, with the recognition of Customary Marriage Act, once lobola has been negotiated, the parties then enter into a customary marriage. And the default system for all customary marriage is in community of
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here.
You're listening to 702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja,
winner for the best talk show
at the Telkom Radio Awards.
22 minutes after 1 o'clock, and we continue with our conversation. The Constitutional Court delivering the judgment that, of course, says you can't now, all of a Sunday, after doing the cultural and customary marriage, draft a prenup after the fact. You can't. That customary marriage is recognized. I want to hear from you in terms of what you think maybe needs to be adjusted when it comes to culture and customary marriages to accommodate for this. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 702. Lesego in Bryanston, how's it?
How's it, Relebogile? How are you?
Good, and you?
I know, ke bona mathata fela.
Yo!
Good that some of us got married about 20 years ago, so that's fine. But what I see as a problem is the fact that hopefully we first, customary wise, you first need to go for lobola negotiations. And with lobola negotiations, it doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are going to come to an agreement from the word go. Some people I know lobola negotiations that have fallen off because of two families not agreeing. So now what this law says now, it means that during the negotiations, we do now need to bring in that aspect while we are negotiating. Because I can tell you, if you don't and you raise this at a later stage, it will almost feel as if it was negotiating in bad faith. However, you don't know. You start the negotiations without knowing what the outcome is. You have a perceived outcome because two parties want to get married, but the families may not agree. So now you're adding another layer of complication by saying, oh, by the way, we have this joke and you guys will know. And she can swim. And she has a driver's license. Now we're going to have to protect the parties by saying, furthermore, this is another layer that we now need to speak about. And who's negotiating on behalf of these people? It's not the two people that are getting married. It's the families, because the bride and the groom are not sitting in that room. So it is going to complicate matters. I don't know if the Constitutional Court thought about that.
So, as you're speaking, here's what I am thinking, ne? The lobola negotiations and that process, that cultural part of marriage is about family predominantly, right? Hence, you have representatives. The way I see prenuptial agreements is a legal matter. So I am wondering if, because you were saying you don't want people now operating in bad faith, but I can't imagine a malume coming and saying, ngwana rona has onalinku, it must not be a part of lenyalole. Don't you think, that if, let's say, the negotiations happen and then they say, okay, radumellana, we've agreed to 10 cows, and this is what's going to happen. Before now you do that EFT or you send the cows, in that period is when I imagine the prenup would need to happen. So bo malome must come back, say, Lesego, Relebogile, a ke re litse le batla go nyala. We've agreed now, Baholo have agreed. We need you two now to do the legal parts before we finish with this. I almost said transaction, and it's not a transaction, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Before refetsa. So now you two say, okay, we have agreed. We had a lawyer between the two of us. We both understand the agreement. So you guys le laela bo malome and your parents. Then they say, okay, ba feditse ka di prenuptial. Ba itse ba nyaka ANC. It's in African National Congress. Banyaka anti-nuptial what with accrual blah blah blah. Then the transaction happens or the transfer or the cows go, then you celebrate. Because in my mind, would it not need to be the two people, not the malumes, negotiating the terms of the prenup?
I think you're spot on, né? But the Constitutional Court needs to clarify that, Tori. That once the negotiations have been finalized, meaning that yes, Ramunka ngwana lona, this is patala di kgomo tse kana. That still that layer, does it not give room to, because the two parties then need to sit. What you are bringing is very important, and maybe we are getting into an era where the two parties need to sit first before Mahadi to say, what do we perceive our marriage would look like? You know, do we want to get married ANC? Do you want to get married with accrual? Because there's multiple contracts that you can get into, and then once they've agreed on that and they've seen a legal profession, then the letter goes to the family. But then I think that's the most logical way. But if we don't do that and we don't get clarification from that, I foresee majority of these cases going back to court.
I hear you on that one, Lesego in Bryanston. Thank you so much for your call. And maybe I would also add, maybe where we need to close the loop, because a man can be doing 7 EFTs in one day, multiple negotiations with different delegations in one day. Maybe we need to say, guys, in as much as the law recognizes your customary marriage as you are married, go register once, go home affairs, so you know. So that you're not waking up realizing that your person was married all along. Here are your voice notes coming through on 072-702-1702.
Hey, Relebogile and team. The one thing that we always forget, hey, when it comes to this cultural marriage thing, is that it's not just the nice stuff that I'm also gonna have half of your property, but also I'm taking on half of your debt. Your debt, my guy. So if I'm debt free and you are up to your neck in debt, then we're both up to our necks in debt. So let's think about that.
Well said.
Good afternoon, Relebogile. This is Kabelo from Pretoria. The message must be drummed in and emphasized that there is no such thing as haranyala ke ba tshwarisitse magadi fela. No, you are married in community of property nogal.
Yeah, so translation, there's no such thing as we didn't get married, we just let them hold the bride price. You are married. And we know many a case where people, now that things are not so nice, suddenly haranyala. But were we ever married? What do you mean? What do you mean? Why did we eat that cow? Why were there speeches? Why nere rukile shweshwe? 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line, 072-702-1702. It's 1:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has promised the displaced residents of Sporong Informal Settlement they will be relocated in 7 days. More than 600 Sporong residents have been staying at a community hall for more than 2 weeks after allegedly being driven away from their homes by Zamazamas. Today, Lesotho, along with several senior government officials, conducted an oversight inspection in Sporong and spoke to displaced residents in the Randgate Hall in the West Rand. The Special Investigating Unit has secured an order to interdict the pension of KwaZulu-Natal National Lotteries Commission official Sibonelo Vilakazi, who was a client liaison officer in that province, was found to have exploited his position to enable his wife to receive more than 31 million rand in grants from the NLC. The investigation is part of the SIU's crackdown on corruption at the NLC. And in the Philippines, President Ferdinand Marcos has been hit with an impeachment complaint by the country's civil society groups. They accuse him of systemically milking taxpayers out of billions of dollars for bogus flood control projects. The groups also accuse him of directly soliciting kickbacks, a charge that relies heavily on unproven allegations made by a former congressman who fled the country while under investigation. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 2 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour, if you're leaving Germiston heading towards Bedford View, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N3 northbound between the Elands interchange and Kilulis. There's also slow-moving traffic approaching the intersection of Winnie Mandela Drive and Grosvenor. That's in Bryanston due to faulty traffic lights. Traffic lights also not working in Kyalami at the R55 and Kyalami Boulevard, as well as in Edenville at Morafontein Road and Van Riebeck. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
When you scan your portfolio, public works, infrastructure, state entities, what would you say is changing because of the efforts you're putting in, and where are the areas where there's stubborn resistance?
I think that some of our policy interventions, some of our structural interventions are starting to pay off. Of course, we still have areas of weakness, particularly when it comes to the completion of projects on time and on budget.
Dean McPherson on reform, resistance and results in the Department of Public Works.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
I'm Dealer here with more than just a betting app ad. Download the 10Bet app and enjoy the action of betting anytime, anywhere. It's more than just an app. It's a 10Bet experience. Join now at 10bet.co.za. 10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line is 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Got big dreams for 2026? New goals, new adventures, new car? Don't wait. Let's jumpstart your January with up to 75,000 Rand cash back when you buy selected quality pre-owned cars from participating Motor Select dealerships nationwide. Don't wait for life to happen. Make it happen with Motor Select. Deal ends Saturday, 24 January. Hurry to motorselect.co.za now. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
25 minutes to 2 o'clock, and we're having a conversation around the Concord judgment, which basically says that if your customary marriage has happened, you can't now, after the fact, try and have a prenuptial agreement. And I want to hear from you, what does that mean for customary marriages and the processes? I know we often speak about lobola, but there are many different types of customary marriages that are recognized by law in South Africa. And generally, You only put it to the test when somebody has died or when somebody wants to get divorced and a whole lot of things. 011 883 702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. We've got Stanley. Stanley, how's it?
Hi, good to see. How are you?
Good. Go ahead.
I think this ruling is not correct. The word lobola does not mean a customary marriage to let's say the Zulus. With the Zulus, you have the personal side going to negotiate. You don't have your parents present. They only come when you are celebrating the marriage. But the lobola is not the marriage. And two, with the Zulus, they tend to say you don't finish paying lobola. So it means by the time you go for the marriage, the lobola is not fully paid.
So that's also the same as in the Tswana culture, Stanley. But just to be clear, the Constitutional Court didn't specifically say lobola, right? We just used that terminology because it was one of the key moments we're all familiar with. They referenced customary marriages, meaning even if it's in the Islamic faith and whatever. So, if somebody has to go and challenge in court, yes, we were married, you're going to have to say, in the Tswana culture, they say, Mahadi hafeli, but you can still demonstrate to say, yes, even though Mahadi hafela, after this thing, they received me. They even gave me a new name. After that, we lived together and had children. So it can still be challenged in the court. The main thing was around the fact that when must this contract happen? Before or after you've concluded the customary marriage?
I'm cool with that. It's just that people are using carelessly the word lobola. Whereas lobola is not customary marriage. Yes, you see? That's what I am.
No, and I'm with you completely, Stanley, and we all recognize Hore. In different cultures, they do things completely differently. What happens ko Soweto might not be the same thing that happens ko KZN, even though you are Zulu. All Zulu, so we are definitely aligned there in that part. Thank you so much for your call. On the WhatsApp line, Relebogile, perhaps the Constitutional Court should open their rulings to a window of public opinion on the findings to allow for cultural expert opinions to understand the cultural implications of the rulings as to consider all things. I'm not actually sure on the processes on the Constitutional Court when the part of public opinion happens. But what we do know is just from a legal perspective, it's set a precedent that can now be quoted in upcoming cases, if that makes sense. Now, what difference would it make if cultural experts were to come into the picture? Because as far as I understand, the law is what will overshadow what experts say. Some experts might come and say, yini prenup, king prenuptial, aretsebi. Rona, in our culture, we don't know prenuptial contract. When the marriage is over, the sisters come and take their brothers' things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure what would be the intention of having cultural experts, unless it's to say, how do we relook the process? WhatsApp says the biggest problem here would be the man's family. They need to be honest with the second wife so there's transparency, guys. Sometimes that second wife does not even know she's a second wife. And it is the man's duty. It's not his family's duty to reveal that truth. More of your voice notes on 072702 and 702.
Hi, Relebogile. I think this is more complicated than we think. Imagine on those cases where the lobola negotiations are cancelled before they even start. In Luna already you have a prenup. I've seen instances where on the last hour the other family, mostly the groom's family, they would cancel and say they are no longer coming for whatever reason, mostly because there's issues. Yeah, so in those instances, I would want to see how it plays, because you guys would have had a prenup before the discussions are concluded.
Relebogile, I hear your suggestion about the before payment of lobola is done. But you see, the challenge is that the excess lobola must be negotiated as part of the elements of proving the existence of a customary marriage. Lobola must be negotiated. It says nothing about payment. So if there's negotiation and agreement on the amount, even if not a single cent is paid, there was agreement. So the negotiations have been settled. So that creates a problem from what the guy is raising, actually, and I agree with him. This complicates issues like deeply. See from Joburg South.
Hi, Relebogile, Tabo here in Swane. I think people should not be hyperventilating about this court judgment. And by the way, it is not retrospective. So it's only applicable to from this time onwards going forward, basically. So people just need to be well informed. And from there, make sure that before you do your lobola thing, that you have your prenup in place. So it doesn't mean it's going to go back and affect people who did this thing before. So, yeah.
Afternoon, Relebogile Kabelo from Pretoria. I think to be safe and to be sure, the prenuptial contract should come even before the negotiation, because soon someone is going to say, you see those cakes and tea, that was the wedding. That was the wedding ceremony. Because to prove a marriage in customary, to prove a customary marriage, the only thing that you need are pictures. Someone's going to say, I want to
Yeah, there are so many layers to this conversation. And maybe the thing that we really need to have a moment to think about is, how are the processes of customary marriages going to evolve? But even more than that, couples, all couples, you actually need to have the hard conversations before you are committed, whether it is inked or through taking the first bite at a celebration or wearing shweshwe and a blanket. Because that's the difficult part, right? Some people address these things in premarital counseling, where the question gets asked, what should happen should we divorce? And many people don't like that conversation because you almost feel like you're jinxing yourself. Who wants to think about divorcing when you're excited about getting married? But that's what it means. In the event of your death, in the event of a divorce, in the event of other beneficiaries appearing after the fact, is our estate joint? Or can I keep these things that I built and acquired before I met you? Afternoon 702 and Relebogile team. A lot of men are in favor of Bogadi Magadi Lobola being regarded as marriage. When you call families, what are you actually calling them for? To play? Meaning, if they have enough money, they can pay Magadi here, leave, and find a new partner and just do the same thing over and over again. They just want to play without any consequences and involving parents. No, man. Anti is before. Pre is before, which is literally there in the name. It is pre. It is prior. So if now after the fact, because also sometimes people think about these contracts when they amass a whole lot of wealth. Or if you thought, if Abel and I now are getting married, and the whole time I'm thinking, I need to protect my wealth from Abel. Jiggy, Abel is that Powerball winner. I can't now say, actually, give like a 50-50. Why now, after the fact? You have to assume for better or worse and sign accordingly. Thank you for your messages, calls, and voice notes.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Advocate Portia Dube has been appointed as the country's new Deputy Public Protector. The appointment was made by President Cyril Ramaphosa on the recommendation of the National Assembly. She is currently the Director General of the Public Service Commission and will begin her new role next month.
The President wishes Advocate Dube well in her new role in the Public Protector as a Supreme Administrative Oversight Body with the power to investigate, report on, and remedy improper conduct in all matters of the state.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Water is a scarce resource. That dripping tap, that overwatered lawn, it all adds up. Johannesburg Water urges you to fix on property leaks, reuse grey water, and reduce unnecessary use. They're intensifying leak repairs and upgrading infrastructure to reduce losses. By working together and changing daily habits, water resources can be safeguarded and supply secured for future generations. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
This is your captain speaking. To all passengers who booked at Flight Centre last year, congratulations. You've officially upgraded to Travel Legends. You are out there living it up, posting beach pics and sipping mocktails at sunset. To everyone else still thinking about it, this is your wake-up call. It's a new year. Time to turn someday into this year. Visit flightcentre.co.za or your nearest Flight Centre store today. Flight Centre, your centre for travel.
Hey, no longer feeling like the man you used to be? The man who has inside jokes with complete strangers. The fact is, 95% of men with low testosterone go untreated. Vitamin High Performance Supplements for men helps recharge energy, regain lean muscle, and reload performance. Available at all good pharmacies and Vitalamin.co.za. Vitalamin. Don't get older. Get better.
702.
Belief matters.
Exploring culture, traditions, religion,
and the beliefs that shape our world.
13 minutes to 2 o'clock. While we're still in the conversations around marriage, we have seen public figures, Anele Mdoda and Claire Mawisa of Carte Blanche, walking around and being on screens and on social media in their traditional Makoti attire. And I thought to myself, because so many people were asking questions on social media, hey, let's have this conversation and find out more about it and how long it goes on for. And we're joined by Dr. Jongi Klaas, who is a senior researcher on Xhosa history and culture within the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in the Eastern Cape. And we take your calls on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Doctor, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Robert. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the opportunity to give me this to come on the show.
Doctor, what happens in a traditional Xhosa wedding when a woman becomes a Makoti? And we know and recognize that with different families, obviously they will have their own nuances. But in how you have researched and your understanding, what usually happens when it comes to this attire that a Makoti needs to wear?
The attire is a symbolism that the young lady is in a matrimonial union. So it's basically a statement. It's also telling other young men that now back off, walk away, she has been taken. That's what Amaxhosa are doing. So then the next stage, then she does what we call ukuota, which is what Anele and Miss Mawisa are doing. For them to do that, Amaxhosa, the interesting thing with them is that you don't sleep as a man, as a boy, and wake up as a man. You don't sleep as a young lady and wake up as a woman. You have to go through a certain rite of passage. So wearing lamadaki and going through a process yoguota, they are basically in that rite of passage. It's just that now it's a new thing to most people, but I'm not used to do this in their own land because they owned land. So Umakoti will be doing this within the family setting. Why is this thing important? Why Umakoti has to do what? It's a process where Umakoti is being taught the customs and traditions of the new family. He is taught the history of this family she has just joined. She must know what type of an animal that she has entered herself into. Thirdly, the most important part, they are building a matriarch who in future will be the glue that holds the family together. A woman to a maXhosa is actually more important than a man. Why am I saying this? Even in wars, a maXhosa would not touch a woman because the life of a woman is regarded as sacrosanct, is much more holier than the life of a man. A man can go to a war and die, it's acceptable. But a man who can go to war and kill a woman, that's not acceptable. So hence then, a woman has to go through this process of order, being introduced to this family, immersed into this family, so that in future then she becomes the head of this family.
Sure. Can you please explain the part about then the different parts of the attire and what they represent? So obviously one of the key things that you see is there is a blanket or chali, I don't know what the word is, Kasxhosa, you can help us there, that is wrapped around her and she will walk around with that traditional skirt. Can you talk us through what they represent?
But that chali, again, is a symbolism of respect. Because in this family, there are senior people. It is a family that is built on hierarchy. So just like amakwala, the initiates, when they come from the bushes, they have to put a cap on their head as a sign of respect. So when umakoti then wears this ichali, she is in the process of going through the hierarchy of this family, but through a process of respect. And this ichali, she will wait not for a long time, it's during a certain period. At a certain period, then the interesting thing, at first, she puts it covering both shoulders. At a certain stage, then she removes it from one shoulder, covering half of the shoulder, and then the other arm then is free. Then later on, as the time goes on, it moves from that to the third level, is that to the waist, again, because this matriarch has to be covered. Because this is the most important figure in this family, so which is important that Abhinqe and be covered as a sign of respect to herself and the respect awarded to her by those around her.
So how long is she supposed to wear the attire for? And where does the modern world, where does that intersection happen? As in, is it the makoti's choice if she wants to dress that way to work? As it's almost like it's compulsory? Because I've also seen some comments online saying, but why does Claire have to wear her makoti attire on TV? And the way I saw it, not knowing and understanding the process, is she's doing it because it's something she's proud of. It didn't feel to me like it was compulsory.
I think the issue that you are dealing with is the fact that the African culture, the tradition, is something alien to this generation. So what I like about the two women, they are sending a statement to say the culture is alive, the culture is there, and I really like what they are doing because I'm sure Bishop Duane in his grave is smiling to see these women doing this. Why am I saying this? He once said that the post-missionary Christianity in Africa, with its links to colonialism, capitalism, has actually created a deep cultural confusion and left a permanent scar on the souls of the African people. So we're in a generation that one is confused, a generation that has no understanding of its history, a generation that does not understand its own identity, then they are struggling to even be able to imagine the future that we are going into. So what these women are doing, therefore, they are doing what we call decolonization of our culture, to say we once held this culture, we used to do these things in our own land as a sign of respect. So what's good about what they are doing is to say these things are centered on symbolism, on union as a family, building the bonds of solidarity, building the ties which hold the families together. But the most important thing I must say, these women are telling us that they are not just married to their husbands. They are married to the families. Their families and the families of their husbands now are one. So as we see them on TV going around, they are the epitome, the glue of unity between these two families that have decided to join hands together. That's how powerful it is to the families of those women, not only on the side of the husband, but on both families.
I have to ask, Doctor, while I've got you on the line, earlier we were having the conversation around the prenuptial agreement in the process of customary marriages. I know and understand that you focus specifically on the Xhosa history and culture, but I'm curious on your view that if a couple is saying they want to get married and they're going to be doing the process of lobola negotiations, on the back of this judgment by the Constitutional Court, when would you advise the couple should be discussing a prenuptial agreement and signing it? Is it before negotiations or at what point in the process?
I think it's best on both stages, before the negotiations, during the negotiations, even after the negotiations. Because what makes this thing very important, generally in the African culture, is that the act of the union is not an end, is the beginning. It's unlike, for example, the white weddings that we go into. Those white weddings, the moment someone is married there, who are there, then that's the end of it. They are on their own. But in the African culture, it's different. They are saying, this is the beginning. We are here to walk with you. Hence, in the African culture, there's no divorce. We don't even have a word divorce in the African culture. Because in the African culture, there are acrimonies between the newlyweds. The families, both families will sit and talk together and try to harmonize these relationships. So you are not just going to do that once, it's a once-off, but we are there continuously. And you get the support. So what's good about the African culture is these newlyweds enter into this, they've got the support on both sides until they are able to stand on their own. That is the beauty of it. That's how it used to be done.
So would you say then that we need to relook how some of these things are done to be in accordance with what the law has to say now? For example, would you advise that people getting married customarily should still go to Home Affairs and check, because of all the horror stories we hear where you discover you were never the main wife, you were actually the third wife?
No, it's very important what you're saying. It's important to check those things. But I think the conflict that we have now is the conflict between the African culture and the so-called the Roman Dutch law, or whatever you call it. So it does create a conflict. But the question is now, which one supersedes the other? If then one is married to customary marriage, only to discover that one of the partners actually was married to Home Affairs, if then they go to court, which one is stronger than the other? I think that is an aspect that probably we need to deal with it as the government, so that you are able to restore the dignity of the African culture. Because I still believe that it's an answer to our current problems. It's an answer to these marriages that don't last. It's an answer to the complex, sophisticated challenges that we are facing when it comes to relationships. So we need to go back to the campus, go back to the origins, to say, how was it done? Why did it work then? And why is it not working now?
Doctor, thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us. A big shout out to Anelem Doda, and Claire Mawisa for carrying their culture with pride. And yes, some of these things need to be relooked to see how they align with the laws and all the other things in the country. In the next hour of the show, Wendy Nola joins us in our consumer rights feature. Nola knows 011 8830702. The WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. This Eyewitness News is brought to you by Momentum. Financial advisors help you have a better shot at generational wealth. Speak to a Momentum accredited financial advisor. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maki Molapo. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has promised the displaced residents of Sporong informal settlement they'll be relocated within 7 days. More than 600 Sporong residents have been staying at a community hall for more than 2 weeks after being allegedly driven away from their homes by Zamazamas. Today, Lesufi, along with several senior government officials, conducted an oversight inspection in Sporong and spoke to displaced residents at the Randgate Hall in the Rand West. Lesufi apologized to the residents on behalf of the provincial government, saying they should have intervened earlier.
So I said to the team, let's clear it completely. Go to the housing waiting list. Those that got subsidies, give them houses and we demolish the informal settlement that will come out of it. And those that don't have subsidies, will place them in an appropriate area where there are facilities. And those that wants to go back, will assist them to escort them to go back.
Higher Education and Training Minister Buti Manamela has denied that the higher education system is failing. Briefing the media earlier on the sector's state of readiness, Manamela admitted that universities, TVET colleges and other public higher learning institutions are struggling to keep up with demand for study opportunities. More than 650,000 learners passed matric last year, with nearly half achieving bachelor passes. But Manamela admits many will not be accepted into universities because there aren't enough spaces that are funded to accommodate all these learners.
It's not that we've failed. It is that we now need to reorganize ourselves to meet the new demand. Yes, the question of space has been a challenge, yes, but it has not been in the cycle of society. It has not been to this proportion.
He says discussions have started with Basic Education Minister Siviwe Kwahube about the expectation created by awarding learners bachelor passes.
We are going to have a fight this year with basic education, a very friendly fight, because bachelors, or categorizing a pass as bachelors, essentially means that you are creating an expectation which our rules in universities do not necessarily operate by. So we've already raised this with the minister.
The Special Investigating Unit has secured an order to interdict the pension of KwaZulu-Natal National Lotteries Commission official Sibonelo Vilakazi. Vilakazi, who was a client liaison officer in that province, was found to have exploited his position to enable his wife to receive more than 31 million rand in grants from the NLC. The investigation is part of the SIU's crackdown on corruption at the NLC. Khomotso Modise has more.
Sibonelo Vilakazi, a former client liaison officer from the National Lotteries Commission KZN office, was found to have used his position to facilitate 48 payments in grants to his wife Nosipho Zuma, totaling 31.2 million rand. Investigations revealed that the funds, which were funneled through Zuma's company ZZET Enterprises, were used to buy luxury vehicles and properties. SIU spokesperson Kaiser Khanyago.
SIU investigators show that more than 400 care centers and football clubs made payments to accounts linked to Vilakazi and Zuma from the monies received from the NLC between 2019 and 2023.
In addition to Vilakazi's R500,000 pension being interdicted, previously the SIU obtained an order to freeze approximately 2.4 million rand held in 4 bank accounts linked to Vilakazi and Zuma. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
Flood damage to South Africa's premier game reserve, the Kruger National Park, is being estimated at R500 million. However, Forestry, Fisheries and Environment Minister Willie Oakam says that's only a preliminary estimate, with accessibility after the heavy flooding still making it impossible to do an extensive assessment. Oakam has today launched a recovery fund to support the rebuilding exercise. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Minister Willie Oakam has lauded Sandpark staff for bringing all visitors and staff to safety without loss of life or injury. At least 500 staff at the Mopani and Olifants camps are, however, still trapped as the floodwaters make it impossible for them to leave. Oakam says the restoration has to future-proof the park for the effects of climate change, with it still having been in the process of recovering from flooding in 2023 when this season's heavy rains began.
The Kruger National Park is increasingly a natural disaster nodal point. Climate change is a reality.
Oakham's given the assurance that the highest fiduciary oversight will be exercised over a Sandparks Kruger Park Recovery Fund, which will raise money in tandem with the Sandparks Honorary Rangers Fund.
Our goal is to ensure that all of the necessary government protocols are in place so that we can confidently assure donors that their monies will not be pillaged.
The park is due to celebrate its centenary this year. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And in the Philippines, President Ferdinand Marcos has been hit with an impeachment complaint by the country's civil society groups. They accuse him of systemically milking taxpayers out of billions of dollars for bogus flood control projects. The groups also accuse him of directly soliciting kickbacks, a charge that relies heavily on unproven allegations made by a former congressman who fled the country while under investigation. Marcos has consistently taken credit for pushing investigations that have seen scores of construction firm owners, government officials and lawmakers implicated in crime. Gold's trading at $4,824.95 an ounce. The rand at 16.21 to the dollar, at 21.75 to the pound, at 18.97 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $64.32 a barrel.
At this stage in Germiston, heading towards Bedford View, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N3 northbound between the Inlands Interchange and Kilulis. This is due to a stationary vehicle in Lombardy Estate, Pretoria. Traffic heavily backed up on Graham Linwood Road. This is between Struben and Solomon Mahlangu.
A look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy afternoon with isolated showers and thunder showers expected in Gauteng today. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 25 and 28 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has promised the displaced residents of Sporong Informal Settlement they will be relocated in 7 days.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone, so I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour on 702 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. It is a Thursday, so we do what we do. Wendy Nolan, our consumer rights feature. Nolan knows, get in touch with us. 011-883-0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702.
Nola knows.
Nola knows time with Wendy Nola on 702 afternoons. Get ready with your consumer rights issues after we go through some of the stories Wendy has prepared for us. We then give you an opportunity to raise your issues with us. Please make sure, especially if you're not calling to praise anybody, I think we don't really do that much of that in this feature, but that you hide the identity of the company so that we're not obligated to give them right of reply. Sometimes Wendy's giving you advice where maybe you are the one who has the story wrong, and also a reminder that Wendy Nola does her best to get to everybody's stories, but she's one person. Wendy Nola, happy Thursday. How are you?
Happy Thursday to you too. Just great. Thank you. Always lovely to be with you.
Wonderful. So, let us get started with our very first story.
Okay, before we do that, and it's a cell phone related story, I wanted to share a couple of things. So the first thing is something that happened to me today and horrified me. So someone wrote to me and said she went to my website and she sent me an email, and she got my usual automated response saying, please understand, I get many emails and I'll do my best kind of thing. Anyway, long story short, she said, I then paid you 15 Rand that one of your colleagues, a lawyer, could look into my case, and next minute there was a 600 Rand debit order on my bank account. I was like, what? Okay, so she's taken this up with her bank, and this actually goes back a few months, the end of last year. So obviously she paid a legitimate 15 Rand. She thought, okay, that's all right. That's fair enough. I want to jump in here and say, please, I'm a journalist. It would be unethical for me to charge consumers anything to look into their cases. I'm not obliged to do it, obviously, but if I do, no matter how much money I get back from you, for you, or whatever happens, there's no charge. Absolutely would be unethical, no charge. So please, if somebody that looks like they're writing from my email address says to you, okay, you need to pay this and this, and these are the bank ID details, please know that that's a scam. And it turned out in this case, so she paid the 15 Rand, but she didn't see there was a little debit order mandate. She didn't read to the end. It was 600 Rand a month. Turns out, according to the bank, it's a company called Just Answer, an international company. And the bank was unable to say where the company is based, but by paying that 15 Rand, they got her card information, and then they were able to do those transactions. So she's getting her money back in 4 days' time, which is great. But I just wanted to please warn listeners that that's not the way I operate. And if ever you ask for money, this lawyer, actually, so-called lawyer, sent her a photograph of himself, if you don't mind. My colleague, the lawyer, okay, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a consumer journalist.
Yes.
I do my best, and I do it free for consumers. So please, I feel you can imagine how devastating this was for me to find out. So obviously, there's been some infiltration on my legitimate email account, host, or whatever, and I'll be looking into that urgently. But I just wanted to put that out there while this was still fresh. Okay.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for that, because I think it's important people know Wendy has been offered lots of money to jump in and do people's cases. She does this out of the kindness of her heart, and as she says, it would be unethical. She's been doing this for decades. So if ever anybody says send money, I have seen, I think there are now 12 scam accounts of me online already. If anybody is pretending to me saying send money so I can help, I will never do that. I will never, ever, ever do that. So thank you for reminding everybody with that, Wendy. All right, the first one.
Okay, it's feedback from last week's show. Right at the end, we had listener Cleopatra, who had a question about credit life insurance. I think we can play it.
Yes, we do. Don't be afraid. Do your due diligence. Check everything. Travel is stressful enough. And then I thought we could quickly take one of the listeners' cases here, Wendy. It says, I need help with my RCS credit card. I was retrenched October 2024. Their insurance took over my installments. However, the insurance didn't pay the whole balance. Currently, I'm still unemployed, but they want me to continue to pay. They said the insurance was only for a year, and they reduced the installments drastically when the insurance was paying from 853 Rand to 364 Rand. Please help me. I'm not sure what this insurance is. Does that mean the insurance from the company she worked for?
Yeah. No, I think she's talking about credit life insurance. So when you take out a credit facility, you can take that insurance. But I'm very interested in investigating this, because you and I would think, well, that's going to cover, they're going to write off whatever balance there is if you die or get retrenched. And it looks like it didn't happen in this case. So I need to look at those small print terms and conditions. If our listener can please email me, I'll definitely take a look at that.
Okay, please do make sure that you send them through. And we've got a voice note sharing some info with us.
Hi, 702.
So,
all right. Yes. So that was the one that we chatted about.
Yes, okay. So I did take up the case with RCS, that was the credit provider in this case, and they've sent me all the documents. Yes, she was paying credit life insurance of 161 Rand per month. At the time she was retrenched in 2004, she owed about 11,500 Rand. And the policy, and this is what I said, why I said I needed to see the small print, the policy was to pay out her installments for just the following 12 months after she lodged the claim. And the small print says, once your claim has been paid in full, no other benefit will become payable. If you remain unemployed or temporarily disabled for longer than the claim benefit has been paid in full, there's no further payment. Yeah, and it's a maximum of 12 months. So unfortunately for Cleopatra, she still owes, according to RCS, just over 6,000 Rand, so paid about 5,000 Rand. And she's still, unemployed and unable to pay those installments. So she's going to have to find a way, otherwise her credit record's going to be blemished. And yeah, so the last payment was made 21st of November on that credit life policy. So yeah, that not all credit life policies are created equally. If you are paying for credit life, always find out what the conditions are and really know, especially when you come to lodge a claim. There are ones that will settle the whole balance. I've dealt with a few of those, but that would, I suppose, mean that you would be paying a higher premium for that insurance every month. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't a total write-off in this case, and it was all in the paperwork, so there was nothing else I could do. So just for others listening, know that it's not a one-size-fits-all credit life. Know what you're getting for your premium every month, so that there's no horrible surprises when it comes to claim time.
And I was going to say, Wendy,
so that's that.
Remember that we've spoken so often around the fact that when we have certain policies, it's like 50 million pages with 10 other fine prints. And now, if you start to acquaint yourself with AI, you can help it pick up the red flags. It's not perfect, but it's better than you not reading a document at all.
Very good point. And also just to say, in this case, there was the main schedule showing her, what she was paying for the credit agreement as a whole. And it did say in a fairly large print, it said credit life, and it does say there 12 months. It's also in the small print, but it is declared for 12 months there. So I didn't really have any means to argue that they should be paying more, because it paid out exactly as the policy said it would. So that, unfortunately, how I like to be able to get a fix for people, but I just couldn't in this case. So that brings us to the main topic I wanted to talk about. And that is based on, I got one complaint, and then I thought, okay, I handled it, got a fix, yay. And then I got another one, almost identical, about a week or two later, and I was like, okay, it's the thing now. So here's how it goes. A person takes out a data or a home Wi-Fi contract over the phone, and when you do that, they want to know your address so that they can check that the network in that respect actually has coverage in that area, right? And then they'll either say yes or no. So in both these cases, the person, the telesales agent said, yes, no, that's great. The person took out the contract, got the router, whatever, and ended up not having coverage. And it turned out in both their cases that the telesales operator had captured their address incorrectly.
Oh.
So the address that they captured, there was coverage there, but the actual address, no, and totally different addresses. So I'm smelling a bit of a rat here. So let's go to the first case, which was that of Alan Masimba of Pretoria. Last February, he took out a contract, a data contract, and same story. He was told that yes, definitely there's coverage at your home, but he couldn't get any coverage. So he took up the case within MTN. Month after month after month, he's going from this department to that department. And when it was finally cancelled, this was a really horrific case. When they finally cancelled the contract, he was told that he wouldn't be getting a refund because of cancellation penalty fees. In other words, it was as if he was just cancelling for whatever reason, not because they captured his address wrong and he shouldn't have been sold that contract in the first place. So I really took some relish in taking up this case. So here's the difference. He lives in Bultfontein, and the address that was captured was Centurion. So it wasn't just like a small mistake. It was a completely different address. And as I say, he was shunted for months from various departments, one to the other. They told him to return the router to his nearest MTN shop. He went to that one, Brooklyn. He was told, no, we're only a franchise shop. I mean, this kind of nonsense, wasting his time, energy, money. And finally cancelled in, when was it? In July. And then he got that email saying you won't be getting a refund. So I took up the case with MTN. They acknowledged that he had returned the router in March and that his cancellation was only processed months later. This delay is not acceptable, MTN said. We are addressing it with the store where the router was returned. The cancellation fee was waived, as it should have been, and Ellen was swiftly refunded 1,724 Rand. Okay. So, but he's had the last word. He said, I'm really grateful for the refund, but MTN mustn't put the blame on the store. Several of their departments, the coverage department, the finance department, retentions, and the outsourced Mondo, the marketing company that sold him the contract, were all complicit in the delay in approving the cancellation, he said. Okay, so I thought, okay, that's fine. Nice case, nice fix. Yeah. Next couple of weeks later, very similar case. Stephanie Munsami of Phoenix, Durban. So this is a Durban case. She took out a Wi-Fi contract with MTN in November of 2025, just a few months ago. She told me the incorrect address was loaded on the system, and therefore when I plugged it in, it didn't work. The lady in the store tried to change it to the correct router or whatever, and then they realized I didn't have coverage in my area. So I said to MTN, clearly the contract needs to be cancelled at no cost to her. But what's happening, again, same as the other case, shunted between Mondo and MTN. She says, MTN has advised that I need to contact the point of sale, which is Mondo, to get any credits. However, when I contact Mondo, they advise that their finance department is still on leave and they will assist in Jan. This was a few weeks ago. So as I told MTN, it's MTN that must take responsibility for the actions of its third-party marketing company. I get so annoyed when people tell me that they shunted. The networks are responsible for the actions of their third-party marketing agents. They appoint them and they're responsible for their actions. So do not do that. And you know, they also need to produce the call recordings. They mustn't go to Mondo and beg for them. MTN, they signed a contract with MTN, not Mondo. MTN must provide the call recording. You know, I've said this so many times, Relebogile, in the past. Anyway, and then I said, is this a coincidence? Could it be the same agent who's making these, in inverted commas, mistakes with capturing addresses so that people are told, yes, there is coverage, here's your contract, yes, nicely sign you up, and then actually, oh no, we made a mistake. So I asked for a response today, and I have got one saying that they're actively investigating the offer, the matter. They've made contact with this Durban complainant, and have requested the sales call, but they haven't got it yet, and they will be reviewing it, and they expect a response by tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'll have to report back on that in next week's show. But I just wanted to say, you know, the lesson is, if you're taking out one of these contracts to do with coverage, a network's coverage in your area, data contract, home Wi-Fi, when you say in your address, which is key, now they're going to check. And if they come back and say, oh, yes, you do have coverage there, please get them to, for the recording, get them to repeat your address, get them to repeat what address they searched for. And then if you have the problem that both these MTN customers had, then it's case closed. Always request the call recording from the network service provider. Forget about the marketing company, and then progress from there. And if you're not getting anywhere, please, I'm very interested in these cases. Let me know, and I will investigate. But just the fact the mistake happened, and then that these two people couldn't sort it out on their own, especially the first case, Alan's case, with being shunted and then told, okay, we will cancel it. Meanwhile, he's been paying debit order all along. We will cancel it, but you're going to have to pay a cancellation penalty. I mean, that would have meant that he would have got no refund. So these astonishing things that happen. I mean, and a lot, as I always say, a lot of contracts happen as they should, without any glitches, without any misrepresentations, without any mistakes, and that's fine. But these ones, it's not the mistake. The fact that a mistake happens bad enough, but then that the people themselves can't get it sorted out in a just way without coming to somebody like me just blows my mind. So
and we say that every single week. Wendy's like, we do. Why do we have to now keep saying, I've copied in Wendy Nola, please take my case, for them to now do something, release some statement that starts with, we regret blah, 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 and all that time of chasing and back and forth and phone calls and petrol, you never get it back.
You never get it back. That's an absolutely valid point. And also no interest. So if you owe them money, they can throw a lot at you. First of all, they can have you listed on the credit bureau, so that's going to mess up your financial life for a while in all sorts of ways. I mean, if you go for a job interview, if you applying to rent a flat, I mean, your credit record is important in those situations as well. And when they'll be adding interest on and then handing you over, and there's this whole lot of stuff they can do to make life difficult for you, when it's the other way around. Months later, you'll just get the actual amount that they were owing you as a refund and no interest. It's something I feel very strongly about. But if you speak to the networks, they will no doubt, they don't do it to me anymore because, but they'll say, this only happens in 0.00009% of cases.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they're probably talking about the mistake, but what about all the cases where people can't get the mistake fixed?
Yes.
And as you say, it's compounding the financial thing is the aggravation, the anxiety, the time and energy wasted. It's not okay. And that's why we expose it first of all, and also to say, out of this, here's how you protect yourself. Get them to read the address back. Make the call recording is you have a right to access it. Don't get stuck in trying to deal with a third party telesales company. Go to the network. All those things hopefully will help people to get out of these situations if they find themselves in it.
All right, Wendy, before we start jumping into other stories, because there's also a message around a credit card insurance. We've got a voice note on 072 702 1702.
Relebogile, sorry, I'm really bad to pronounce your name. My apologies. Lebo. Just a tech tip. We all have cell phones. A lot of us get our email to our cell phones, our mobiles, and there's lots of scams running around, like Eyewitness asking you to pay the outstanding fine, or the bank having to ask you this, or Paxi is one of them to add money to a parcel that should be delivered. If you tap on the from email address, you'll generally pick up the scam, because so on the top it says from, your email address is below. If you tap on the top of that email address, you'll see it says, it certainly won't be at paxi.com or at enatus.com or .co.za. It'll be some strange address. Those are the ones that create the trouble, and those are the ones that are the scams. That's just a little tech tip. It might help in the future for responding to those and sending money where they should be. Thanks, Paul Joburg.
Thank you so much, Paul and Joburg. So, Wendy, that's a big one. Is always remember to check the actual email address. And I know you speak about this
and
often.
Website addresses.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very practical tip. Thank you so much for that.
And never click the link in the mail. So if it's pretending to be from Standard Bank or wherever else, go to the original website. And if you're not sure, don't use the details in the mail. Go directly to the details that you have. You can find, for example, the bank's details at the back of your credit card or debit card, and so on and so forth. When we come back, we continue with Wendy Nola. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. It's 2:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. The Western Cape government says it's working around the clock to avert a possible day zero in Knysna as the Garden Route town's water crisis deepens. Knysna's primary water source is now sitting at just 18% capacity, leaving the town with an estimated 13 days of water left in the system if consumption continues at current levels. Last week Friday, the Knysna Council declared the municipality a local disaster area, while the provincial government is in the process of approaching the National Disaster Management Centre for a formal disaster declaration. Higher Education and Training Minister Buti Manamela has denied that the higher education system is failing. Briefing the media earlier today on the sector's state of readiness, Manamela admitted that universities, TVET colleges and other public higher learning institutions are struggling to keep up with demand for study opportunities. More than 650,000 learners passed matric last year, with nearly half achieving bachelor passes. And U.S. President Donald Trump has launched his new Board of Peace in Davos today with a signing ceremony for a body with a $1 billion membership fee and a controversial list of invitees. A group of leaders and senior officials from 19 countries, including Trump allies from Argentina and Hungary, gathered on stage with Trump to put their names to the founding charter of the body. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 3 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in Centurion, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on Old Pretoria Road between Lenchen Avenue and Weerde Road. While in Germiston, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Bedford View, N3 northbound between the Inlands Interchange and Kilulis. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Bryanston at Winnie Mandela Drive and Grosvenor, as well as in Kyalami at Kyalami Boulevard and the R55. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When getting that bread, rising and grinding, 9 to 5 in, even after 5, hustling, side hustling, clocking in, knocking in, going all out, crossing T's, dotting I's, hitting KPIs, meeting ROIs, meeting deadlines, all before EOD because everything is needed ASAP. There's a lot on the go. Stick with it with the Nando's Cabo Society and single chips for 79 Rand. You've got this, and we've got you. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years. Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Got big dreams for 2026? New goals, new adventures, new car? Don't wait. Let's jumpstart your January with up to 75,000 Rand cash back when you buy selected quality pre-owned cars from participating Motor Select dealerships nationwide. Don't wait for life to happen. Make it happen with Motor Select. Deal ends Saturday, 24 January. Hurry to motorselect.co.za now. T's and C's apply.
What happens when investment is driven by purpose? You build a legacy that lasts 30 years and counting. The Mine Workers Investment Company marks 3 decades of empowering mine workers and their families through smart, sustainable investment. Catch the Clement Mangatela Show in conversation with the MIC next week on 702. Find out how the 100% black-owned investment holding company has grown long-term cash-generative assets that fund education, social upliftment, and black business development across SA. That's the Clement Mangatela Show in conversation with the Mine Workers Investment Company next week on 702.
Coming up
on 702 Drive.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. John Perlman is not in today. Thabo Sholemashao is standing in for him. Tabo.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year compliments. Never thought I'd say this, but I missed you.
You missed me.
I did.
Which part? Is it the part where I'm dissing
the
you?
Eyes. Looking,
the eyes.
Yeah, but I mean, I genuinely missed you, but it was not the same without you.
I have to just
and
say.
Abel. I missed Abel.
Who's Abel?
Oh, wow.
I just have to say, guys, please log on to YouTube on our 702 channel today. Yeah. It's not to see me. It's just to see what Tabo looks like unshaved.
The holiday look.
We're all shocked. We're like, who is this guy? We nearly called security on you. You had a working December?
Yes, I did. But we took a little bit of a holiday for a couple of days after I did my shift on the 2nd of Jan.
I see.
Yeah, just before the schools reopened. So we had a little bit of a break.
All right. Other than pockets full of money, what's coming up on the show?
Well, a Scholar Patrol issue still continues. This is very sad. And this is not the very first time the reactionary attitude of government and various other stakeholders. We always wait for a tragedy to happen. Then we are all shocked. And then after 4 days, we've forgotten about it and moved on. So we will look into the story one more time, the developments around this, and what can be done to make sure that this doesn't repeat itself. Housing Summit, the minister has suggested that there will be new types of housing, low-income housing built in rural areas, townships and peri-urban areas. And they seem to be a little bit more expensive than your ordinary RDP house. How will people afford these? And when can we expect to see the first one erected? On your house, your home, we are looking at the solar project. Everyone wants to have solar panels in their homes for obvious reasons, but there's a lot that you need to know before you even do that. The certification, your responsibilities and many other things. So on your house, your home, will touch on that. The pick it up strike. Have you had your rubbish not picked up in the couple of days? Yeah, we'll speak to Pick It Up about their strike. And also on a lighter note, we will ask on the show, who do you vent to when you have some serious load that you want to take off on someone else? Who do you vent to? And does that person really listen, or do they interrupt and say funny things? But who do you go to vent?
Not Abel. Can I tell you what, Abel? I will say, Maruko Bashab. After you say, I'm stressed, I'm going to this. He says, Maruka Bashab. Let's work, Mabotja. That's what Abel says. Let's work. My venting person is my sister.
Really?
And yes, and our venting, it's safe. You can say anything. There's no matter how dark it is.
Yeah.
Even if you say things that you
that
usually
shouldn't be
would
said on radio.
Just out loud.
Yeah.
Even if you say things you shouldn't say out loud about anybody, we've given each other the space to do that. And then we also give each other this, we also say to one another, hey, do you have space? I need to vent. Because sometimes maybe you're in the middle of something.
Yes.
So we ask, where my sister will say, do you have space? I need to vent. Then we know, okay, let me get the tea. This is going to be 30 minutes, and it's beautiful. I actually wish that for everybody. Like I can also vent to parents and siblings about, because we also need to vent about each other when you're like, when are your mother, we say, but I like the part where now you have to be considerate. You don't just phone and say, yo, Tabo, this and this. You're like, hey.
And someone is in a meeting.
Yes. Or the worst. I'm in the bank. Why did you answer? I'm in the bank. Because you want to respond. I'm in the bank. Malume ugogo fancy. But yes, the venting. Ask a person, hey, do you have space?
Do you
have capacity?
Yes.
Then a person can
capacity as well.
Yes.
So it's not just time, but also am I in a good space to listen and absorb all of that on your behalf?
Then I know, be like, Skawara girl, I'm running a bath, and then I listen to them like a podcast as they,
like a podcast.
We'll tune in for that one. 702 Drive with Tabo Sholemashao. I know I give him grief, but always show him love. Hosting 702 Drive.
702.
Nola knows.
It is 21 minutes to 3 o'clock, and we continue in our consumerized feature, Nola Knows, with Wendy Nola, 011-883-0702, and the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. Wendy, I'm going to start in the lines, and those that have been waiting patiently. Togo in Kempton Park, and a reminder, folks, please don't mention the company's name. Go ahead.
Hi, Relebogile.
Yes.
Hi, Wendy. How are you guys?
Hello.
Good.
Good.
Hi. Wendy, kindly please assist me with this problem that I have. I bought the incubator from the company, ne? The incubator was 11,528 X capacity. I took delivery of the incubator on the 11th, on the 8th of the 10th month last year. So I plugged it in on the. Sorry.
Yes, she's saying
with
go
you,
ahead.
carry on.
I plugged it in on the 9th. So when they were telling me about the incubator, teaching me how it works and they told me that at 90 minutes straight, it's going to turn the eggs so that the yolk doesn't embed on the eggshell. So yes, I took it, they plugged it, it started to work, I loaded my eggs and everything. But at 90 minutes, it never turned. Instead of turning, it made a horrible noise and started to shiver. Then I called the supplier to say, guys, there is something wrong with this incubator. May you kindly please send a technician to come and look at it. So then the company said to me, no, if you want to send a technician, you'll have to pay for the call out. So then I tried to tell them that I just bought this thing and it's brand new and but they said no. So I decided to ask the guys to load it for me, so I took it back to the supplier. Upon arrival there, they check it, and then they said the chain is loose and what or not. They mentioned 3 things that were wrong with the incubator. So I said to them, guys, is this incubator brand new? Because they said to me, you're selling me the brand new thing. They said, yes, it's brand new. But I said, but before I took it, I asked them, and I looked at the dents and the outside. There were dents and the scratches. But the lady that was selling it to me said to me, no, the dents are coming from the shipping, malhandling, when they ship it from China, when they ship the parts. So I was like, okay, it's fine. But when I took it back, there were other incubators on the floor. That looked very new from the one that I bought. Then I said to them, guys, I need my money back. This one is not brand new. It's either you change it or you give me my money back. I'm telling you, when they're up to till today, I'm still fighting that. They've got the incubator, they've got my money. They just don't want to assist me in giving me my money or giving me the new incubator. My eggs spoiled with them there. Yeah.
That's an awful thought. I'm so sorry you went through that. It's a very clear case in terms of the Consumer Protection Act. If a product you've bought becomes defective within 6 months, then you have a right as a consumer to take it back. Actually, the Act says the supplier must pay for the sending back of the machine. So what they said to you, you paying call out, that is nonsense, and you delivering it back anyway. If they can't say, well, you've dropped this, scratched it, bumped it, dropped it, whatever, then you have the right, in other words, it was a defect, then you have the right to the recourse of your choice, a refund, replacement, or repair. So you are very much entitled to your money back. Just a tip, don't accept anything with any kind of cosmetic issues, whatever their story is. So either get a discount for it, but you must note it on the documentation, because you don't want them to accuse you later of causing the cosmetic damage. Anyway, the only thing I can say to you is I can send them a query and say, how are you justifying not refunding your customer this money for what is clearly a defective product? You never got one single good use out of it, did you, Togo?
Sorry, Togo, just start again. Say, respond again.
I didn't get anything out of it. It was my first use on a second day of purchase.
Yeah.
I plugged it in and
no,
it
terrible. Okay, so they think they're entitled to keep your 11,500 rand. That's not okay. Let me have a go. If you send me the details with a copy of your invoice and all the relevant details, contact details for that company, preferably an email address, then I will send them an email address and we'll see where that goes.
Thank you so much. Kindly please tell me the email address.
You can stay on the line, Togo. Our producer will give you all of the details. Nziki is there and will assist you. Let's go to Sam in Krugersdorp. Sam, hi, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. But I'm happy that you took my call. Look, I have an issue, man. I'm being abused. I feel abused by these two parties. The first being my bank, and the other being the people who's collecting on behalf of these creditors.
Yes.
There was an entity that I owe, and then I fell into financial difficulties. My account was handed over. These guys called me. We had an arrangement and a debit check arrangement that, you know what, on such and such a date, this is how much we'll take from my account, and we agreed on that. That's got out the way. But what then happens is, from time to time, maybe on a quarterly basis or so, they would call and suggest that maybe you add $100 or so on top of what you already agreed to. So that happened over time. Yeah. We agree. Sometimes I say, no, guys, not yet. And then at this present moment, they actually taking an amount of 1,006 up to a point where I said, okay, you can now take 1.8 on a monthly basis on a particular date. So what happens is, on the date that we agreed on, they taking the money. Again, on the last day of the month, they taking yet that old installment. And that compromises me, because now they're taking over 3,000 on a monthly. Talk to my bank. My bank says, there's nothing we can do. You agreed to this. But I'm trying to explain to them. I'm at pains trying to explain to my bank. But guys, the 1.6 agreement should have been replaced by the 1.8. What is there not to understand? But my bank is unable to, you know, Wendy, I don't know what else to do, to the extent that I've sent an email to the LPC to see if they can try and assist me with this matter. It's really straining me.
Okay. Well, let me try to help you. I would go straight to the bank, because they're responsible for the debt collectors' actions. I get this, I wouldn't say very often, but occasionally. I kind of knew what you were going to say before you said it, because it's not uncommon. It's just an admin thing that I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's a case of an admin person not taking the time and energy to just understand this simple issue. You don't want two debit orders. You want the original amount to fall away and this one to replace it. It is not complicated. And actually good, well done to you for, putting more of your money towards settling this debt. I mean, so I would be very happy to take this up for you, Sam. The sooner you can send me an email with the details, all the reference numbers, account numbers, dates, the sooner I can get it off. Thursday afternoon, if I can get it off on a Thursday afternoon before I hit all my editorial deadlines for non-radio, that puts you in good stead, because then it will go. So if you can start working on it now, you obviously have a lot of it already documented. Send it off. Just put Sam 702 in the subject line. And I promise I'll do my best to get that sorted for you.
Sam, stay on the line. Our producer will give you those details. Make sure you include all the information. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we continue.
There's a new way to experience all your favorites. Pulse Africa, the 24/7 fast channel, now live on primemediaplus.com and the Prime Media Plus app, bringing you the best of Prime Media around the clock. Watch the biggest moments from 702. It's non-stop entertainment and authentic African storytelling, all from Africa's leading media network. Pulse Africa, only on the primemediaplus.com and Prime Media Plus app.
Supercharge your business productivity with Moloi Innovative Solutions. We bring the most highly customized and cost-effective IT infrastructure to your fingertips. Whether it's desktop and server support, cloud services or hardware, software and printer procurement, our dynamic team makes sure that you have the tech that resonates with you. Moloi Innovative Solutions. Experience at its best. Get to moloiis.co.za for more.
The Dis-Chem Better Rewards program is here, and every time you shop and save, you're also giving back. Each time you swipe, not only are you rewarded, but a percentage of your purchase is donated to the Dis-Chem Foundation to support communities in need. So why wait? Sign up to become a Better Rewards member today and support with every swipe. Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community.
Need a seat? Try 7 or 5, it's your call. Want a sunroof? Make it a panoramic. Gotta have power? How does award-winning 138 kilowatt sound? The Changan CS75 Pro is big enough for the kids, smart enough for your playlist, and stylish enough for your Friday night too. Why settle when you can have it all without compromise? The Changan CS75 Pro. Drive tomorrow's SUV today. Visit changanmotors.co.za for more.
Changan, driven to evolve.
702.
Nola knows.
9 minutes to 3 o'clock as we wrap up our consumer rights feature with Wendy Nola, 011-883-0702, and the WhatsApp line 0727021702. Buleng in Joburg, thank you for holding so patiently. Go ahead, Wendy and I are listening.
Good day, ladies. Thank you for taking my call.
Go ahead.
Oh. So I had a problem with one trekking company. I got a call from one of the salespersons to say they want to install a new device for me. So I told them that no, I already have a device in my car, so I can't pay for the same service twice. And then the lady reassured me that no, we are working together. This is how we know that your contract has expired. So it will automatically be one policy and you're going to pay one premium because we're working together. And that turned out not to be true because I was paying both companies now. And I later called in, I sent emails to say, can we please try and solve this, because I feel like this policy was taken based on lies, because this person actually lied to me to say the contract is going to be translated into one as you guys are working together. I asked for the cell phone recordings. I tried to escalate it by all means, but they keep on taking money from my account, and it's different amounts. The 1 month it will be 2.8, it will be 100 rand, 289, and I am not getting any joy. I've tried anything that I knew I could. So I really hope you guys will be able to help me.
I'd love to be able to. Was it Puleng? Sorry, did I get your name right?
Yes, Puleng.
Yes, Puleng, yes.
Puleng. Okay, thank you. We've had such excellent issues raised this afternoon. This is, my feelings about telesales. We touched on it a little bit earlier. So there obviously isn't enough. Consumers obviously don't have enough access to their call recordings, or these telesales agents wouldn't risk telling lies like that. So when you started saying, they kept saying, we are working together. I thought you meant you and them. But so the company that called you was a completely different. It was a rival, a competitor to the company that you already have a contract with. And they said, and you said, well, I've already got one. And they said, no, we're working together, so we're going to consolidate. This one's going to take over from the other one. Have I got you correctly?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
So that was, okay, so that was clearly total lie. Let's not call it by any other soft names. And the fact that, what's happened when you've asked for the call recording? What sort of response do they say, okay, and then just not do it? Or do they say, no, you can't have access? What's been happening there?
The lady that I emailed, the last response was, we will go back to the call recordings and get back to you. And then they told me that, no, by the way, it was a broker who sold this policy to you, but I never got anything.
Okay, so you know what I'm going to say next. way I can help you is if you record that, document it all in an email for me. And we haven't mentioned which companies, but I've got media contacts in all of them. And the first thing I'll say is please retrieve this call recording. And if it's happened the way Prolink says it did, then clearly you need to cancel and refund all debit orders that you've taken from her account. And what are you going to do about that call center agent? That will be pretty much how my email goes. So the sooner you send it, the sooner I can get that off for you, Prolink, okay?
All of the best, Pulling. Stay on the line, get all of those details, and don't forget to make sure that you include all of the information. We go to Relebogile from Hammanskraal. Go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for taking my call. My complaint is with store. Hey, I have a card with a certain store. Then I was taking goods from the store, and every month I would pay off what I was owing them. Then they say I'm owing them. I said, no, I'm not owing you anything. And then they requested proof of payment. I did send them my proof of payment. Then the CEO of that company said, no, where were you paying? And then I was using my card to pay. So fortunately, I'm able to trace all the payment that I've done. Then they sent me an email to say, where were you paying? I said, no, I was paying right inside of one of your stores. Is this chain stores which got a lot of shops? I'm staying in Hammanskraal. I can go to Pretoria, I can go to Centurion, I can go to Cape Town, wherever. If I had taken something from them, month end I would pay. But now they are harassing me. They send my name to one of their legal firms.
Oh.
These people, they keep on telling me to say, when are you going to pay? And, they are harassing me, Mindy. They are harassing me. I don't enjoy even taking calls, especially from a number that I haven't saved it. I immediately don't answer the call.
Yo.
Okay. So
and it's one of the big stores in South Africa.
Okay. You can prove in terms of your receipts or your own bank statement, can you confirm that you can prove that you actually have made all the payments to settle everything that you've bought from them?
Prove that I have paid this store. I don't owe them anything because every month I was settling my account. They say now it's escalating because it's card fees. Mandy, what I would like to know, do we need to pay for a card fee? Like if I have a card fee from Mandy store, do I need to pay for that card just for holding a card?
Not usually, no.
Because that's what I told them. I said,
because it's not a bank account. It's not like you're paying.
Yes, it's not a bank account.
It's not a
There's
bank
no
account.
fee. No, it's not a bank account. It's a store card.
It's a store card.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were sending you you were buying on credit every month. You had a credit agreement signed with them. And it seems to me the issue might be that you were paying at different stores, but that shouldn't be a problem if it's a nationwide company. I mean, if I have an Edgar's account, I don't have to go back to the store where I bought something to settle my account if that's how I want to settle it. That doesn't sound right at all. I'm going to say that thing. I'm going to need you to send it to me in writing, please, with the details. And if whatever proof you have that you've settled the accounts and where, because it might just be a case. Have you been paying cash at these stores when you pay at the end of the month?
No, I was using my card. I was swiping my card.
Oh, you said so. Okay, so you've got the slip, so this should be easy to sort out.
Exactly. And then now they were requesting my bank. What? They said I must send them the bank. I said, no, I'm not sending you anything from bank. The statement that I have from my bank to say I've paid you, you can see that I've swiped my card to pay you. I'm not sending you anything.
Okay. Send me everything that you can, please. And I will do my best to get a response and find out from them on what basis they are now claiming that you still owe them money.
Relebogile, stay on the line, get those details and all of the best. Thank you so much for joining us, Wendy Nola.
At Isuzu, we know every delivery, every kilometer, and every load is building something bigger. This truck month, set your business up for success with special deals across the Isuzu N and F Series ranges. Don't get left behind. Speak to your Isuzu truck specialist or call 08600 Isuzu and secure your truck month deal today. Isuzu, with you for the long run. T's and C's apply.
For the best game viewing, you go to Mpumalanga. For the best whale watching, you go to Hermanus. And for the best in investments, go to Nedbank. Earn up to 7.6% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account and access your funds within 24 hours. For better returns, go with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Thank you for joining us on 702 Afternoons. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
The state ups the stakes in the Vanderbilt Park Scholar Transport case, and US President Trump launches Board of Peace in Davos. Good afternoon, I'm Mikey Mulapo. The state believes the driver in the Vanderbilt Park Scholar Transport case intentionally rammed his vehicle into a truck